Well, this has been a long time coming, huh? Okay, so usually I would start the video off with a nice, happy aesthetic, but for this one, not really. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sonic Frontiers review. Kind of. Instead of doing a proper review, I had to really sat down and really think of what this video was supposed to be. At first I thought, okay, let me just get a simple review out. Let me just play the game and just release a review and boom, 100 subscriber special. There. But something happened during my recent Frontiers playthrough where I realized something. And it took me a few days to actually do that. And thanks to watching some other videos talking about the game, I think I know what to talk about. How Sonic Frontiers changed my life. Okay, what I mean by this is, at first, when the game launched, or when the trailers are coming, I was pretty excited for the game. Sure, you got many people saying they were skeptical, but I kept my hopes high. With all the recent fan projects that Frontiers was getting before release, like stuff like Project Frontiers on Roblox, I was pretty hopeful that the game was going to be good. Then the game launched November 8th, 2022. I played the game. It took me a few days to complete it, and as soon as I beat the game, oh my god. It was one of the best Sonic experiences I've ever even done. This was one of my favorite Sonic games. This was right behind Unleash and above Colors. Yeah, those were my top 3 Sonic games after I played the game. Sonic Unleash, Sonic Frontiers, and Sonic Colors, believe it or not. And yes, this was also during the time where I liked Colors Ultimate, but that's like another story for another day. But back to Frontiers, I used to love this game. I used to play it like all the time, and as the DLC updates kept coming, I wanted to do something. I wanted to 100% the game. And if you guys were members of my previous channel, the Sonic Heroes, you would know I made live streams of trying to 100% the game by doing everything. And funny enough, I actually did everything Chronos Island twice, but I accidentally deleted my progress twice because I was too stupid enough to save it. But that's neither here or there. The point is, I love Frontiers. And as the DLC updates kept coming, I loved it even more. So far, in fact, where even in this channel, you can still find it. I call this game my favorite Sonic game. And, spoiler alert, it's not anymore, but that's not the point. It's very emotional for me to say this because I'm a Sonic fan, and I'm pretty sure you can already tell by that. And as the games kept coming, I look back at the older ones and they're not as good as I remember. And the perfect example of this is Sonic Frontiers. To start this, let's talk about the game in general, what it offered. To start off completely random, I actually want to talk about Cyberspace. This is basically, the Unleashed Generations levels of the game in the mix of the open zone. And do I like Cyberspace? No, not so much. Look, it isn't bad. I actually don't hate Cyberspace. I just don't find it that much fun. But I will admit, if you do have the spin dash or the power boost in Cyberspace, it will make it fun. But if you're just doing it at the start of the game, base paced, it's gonna feel awful to control. Yeah, the controls in Cyberspace are not that good if you ask me. They have that weird stiff feeling to it that I just don't like. Games like Unleash, which have stiff controls, still manage to feel smooth. Generations, perfect example. Sonic Generations has very stiff controls, but it still manages to make those controls good by one, having good level design, and two, making it feel nice and fluid. And unfortunately, Frontiers fails at both of those things. The fluid gameplay is not there in Cyberspace, and the level design is ripped from past levels, which some people hate, and I didn't mind it too much because I was a new Sonic fan, basically. I mean, I didn't really know much about the world until I did some fancy research, but I was addicted. But once I played more of these levels, the more I realized how basic and uninteresting they really are. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a few good cyberspace levels I really come back to. For example, 3-3, I'm pretty sure, is my favorite level. It's really fun for speedrunning and just overall, cyberspace does have unique speedrunning fields. But you need to use other things to make the cyberspace levels more fun. And that is by far the biggest part that makes cyberspace unenjoyable. Is that if you have the spin dash and the other stuff, you are gonna love this game or the cyberspace levels. But if you don't, you're gonna hate it. Trust me. Now move on to the open zone, and I'm kind of mixed on this. Firstly, it's not bad. Like, I really do like it. It's the introduction of the open world. And to be honest, I liked it. Until this recent playthrough. Yeah, there was something I realized when I got to Ares and Chaos that made me straight up just not having a pleasant time. And that is a little thing the franchise loves to add. Collectibles. Now, I do not like the collectibles in this game. Hell, I outright despise them. Why? First, they either add too much where it becomes a headache. Second, they make you want to explore the world, but they don't have off. Oh my god, I can't say this right. They don't offer unique environments that make them pleasing to see because they look bland and lifeless. And finally, the challenges you're supposed to unlock these collectibles are not that hard. They're not interesting. Not at all. Until we get to the DLC update, Final Horizon, which improved these challenges in every way, and we'll get to that soon. But the open world in the base game doesn't feel great anymore. And thankfully, we have Shadow Generations, which does the open world miles better, in my opinion. Maybe because we don't have fair share of collectibles we gotta collect. I mean, we do have those stupid rocket bolts, which I also hate. Generally, I don't like collectibles in Sonic games. Maybe I'll make a video on that. That actually sounds like really interesting. The point is, the collectibles kind of ruin this entire, open world for me. And, yeah, don't really have enough pleasant times with this. But if I do have to rank all the open, zones, I have to say the worst one is Chaos. The landscape and the rocky texture and the mix of so much 2D sections just make it unfun. Rhea Island's next, and yes, it's weird pushing Rhea Island above Chaos. At least it had fun platforming. I will say that. Next up is Oranos, like the original. It's basically just an upgraded Chronos, but in every way it just makes it worse because you could literally just farm the fish minigame, Big's fishing minigame. That's literally how I beat the game the first time, just farming that minigame. And we'll get to Big's fishing game in a moment, because I think it's a good and bad idea. Next would be Ares. While I enjoy it for what it was, the collectibles and Knuckles especially kind of ruined it for me, but I do like the story it built off of. In second place is Chronos. It does offer a good start off to the game, and I generally liked it. And in first place is the Update 3 Oranos, or Final Horizons Island, and it's by far the best DLC update, in my opinion. I actually want to take a look at the mini-bosses on each of the islands. How well do they implement them? Well, as someone who recently just played the Battle Rush mode, almost completed that, I have to say these mini-bosses are probably the best parts about the island, outside of, the main Titan fights, and oh boy, those are amazing. But to specifically talk about the mini-fights, I really do love these mini-bosses. And generally, they're probably some of the best, mini-bosses in the entire game, if you ask me. And don't get me wrong, they don't match up to the Titan bosses at all, not even close. But they do offer a fun sense of challenge and overall funness. Some of my favorite islands, bosses, are in Oranos. Those just have so much, layers of fun to them, and just have pleasure of unique gameplay and just unique mechanics that I really just do like. I also like the ones on Ares Island. The ones on Ares are really cool too. And just overall, the mini bosses are really a nice addition to the game. But if we're talking about bosses, you know what we have to bring up next. Ladies and gents, we are finally going to talk about one of the best parts about the game, the Titan fight. Is what I would be saying, but we got these to talk about, so, never mind, we gotta put that on hold. So yeah, before every Titan fight, you have to complete a certain puzzle on each island. And, oh boy, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you guys. I hate these puzzles. I really do. These are some of the most unenjoyable puzzles in the entire game. The one on Kronos on the first playthrough, I literally had to look up a guide, because it's, how do you do this? The one on Ares is just boring. Like, all you do, pick up the boulders and put them on. And the lock-on is so bad. Like, you cannot, see where you're going to be placing the boulders, and it's just infuriating. Oh, but that's not all, my friends. On Chaos Island, we got this. This is the point on Chaos Island where I was just physically done with myself. I don't know how I enjoyed Chaos Island before, because this puzzle actively ruined it. This is worth a point down, and I know that might sound like just fair criticism and just me just putting down because of, skill issue, but this ain't no skill issue, buddy. This is a point of RNG and just dumbness that can really just screw you over the whole time. Pinball on Chaos Island was probably the worst part about the game. Like, hands down. I hate this every time. It's like the missions in Generations. I don't like those, especially in Shadows. But there is a good side to the puzzles. So on Ares and Chaos, why am I saying Ares? Chaos and Uranus, you have this little shooter minigame, and it's actually decently fun. It's also the original final boss of the damn game. Yeah, when this game launched, this was probably my biggest challenge as a Sonic fan during that time. I spent so long trying to beat this boss, and I just couldn't, and I gave up for several months. Even a whole year, in fact. However, it wasn't until 2023 on Christmas when I got the Switch version of the game, and I decided, you know what? Let's not only get every challenge done around the map, but I'm going to complete the hardest boss in this game. And I did it. I actually completed the hardest boss in the game. But was it really worth it? Was it really worth all that going through just to beat this boss? No, it wasn't. Because it's literally just what I've been playing for this whole game up from Chaos to Uranus. So yeah, the original ending for Frontiers actively ruined some other people's opinions about the game, because they went from completely great islands to just this final boss that felt like nothing. After all the amazing Titan fights, this is the boss we get. It all mixed of the rush development, and I hate it. But, like I said about the minigames, there was a good side to the final boss that we'll touch on later. Now, actually going back before getting to that little distraction, let's actually talk about the Titan fights. Oh my God. These might be, hands down, some of the best Sonic fights ever. I'm not joking when I say this, but the supersonic bosses in the game are probably some of the best supersonic bosses we got in the entire series. I cannot express with words how great these bosses really are. To start off, we have Giganto. Oh, Jesus, Giganto. So, of course, first up, you gotta, climb up in order to reach the final Chaos Emerald. And once you do, oh my god. It culminates into one of the best opening music tracks I've ever seen in a boss. Undefeatable slaps so hard. And the boss gameplay? Oh my god! Like, look at this, bro. The parrying, the smooth action, the camera work, and just, man, they didn't have to go all out for this boss in general, but they did, and I'm so proud. And funny thing, this is only the first boss in the game, and it's already this level of peak. How does the other bosses stack up? Wyvern is next, and is a good step up from Giganto. While I do prefer Giganto, Wyvern is definitely a good second pick. You are just floating around the islands of Ares, and just, you're gonna fight this boss, and just, damn, it looks so cool. And despite the blandness of Ares Island, getting to fight the Titan over the island is probably some of the coolest shit I've ever seen. It just, I dreamed this bosses would come a reality, and just, man, it just feels so nice. But the best part is, this is not even the best out of the 3 Titan fights we get on the 3 main islands. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Knight. Oh my god. Knight single-handedly is the best supersonic boss in the entire game. Until Final Horizon came out, but like I said, we'll get back to that later. And just, holy god, man. I did not expect him to cook this hard for the 3rd boss. And just, look at this QTE segment, and just, you parry off the shield, but then you can actually dodge the shield, and just, this boss fight has so many unique things you can do, and just, why wasn't this implemented in the other bosses? Don't get me wrong, I love the Shadow Generations fights, and overall, they're some of the better boss fights in the entire franchise. But the more I replay Frontiers, these Titan fights can never be beaten, man. I'm telling you. These probably, you know what? I'm going to say it. These probably are the best boss fights in the entire franchise. Like, Sonic Frontiers really stepped up and just give us some of the best, most well-choreographed fights in the entire franchise. And I'm so proud of the dev team who worked on these fights, even if the game was rushed. And a good start with about that rushness is none other than the final Titan we face on Uranos. We start off with this amazing opener of Sonic, Eggman, Sage talking, of Eggman giving Sonic the final Chaos Emerald. It's pumping up after everything we've been through. This final Titan must be... Wait. No. It looks like... This can't be the final boss. It just looks like Giganto. With a gun! Oh my god! And his name's Supreme? Okay, now I must be excited. Let's see how the gameplay's like. You're joking, right? This is the last Titan fight? What? No. You're joking, right? This can't be the last fight. We've been through so much. It can't just be like this. Is the QTA at least good? What, we'll never know? It's just like Giganto, what? Yeah. The biggest problem with Supreme is it's a Giganto clone. That's all it is. And what's even more insulting to the fight is that we get this cool part with wings and just, yeah, maybe the fight is picking up some steam, right? No. Because you know why? The wings are gone. There is no wings. They betrayed. They completely lied about that. Well, not lied. They just didn't port the wings over. Why? It would have been so cool to see the damn wings. I cannot stress enough how much of a disappointment Supreme is as the final Titan fight of the game. After the entire game experience, where we have experienced nothing but banger to banger, and then we ended off like this? This? I mean, there's gotta be a way we can fix it, right? Please tell me someone... Wait. No way, is this the thing we needed? Yeah, it's time we talk about the greatest part of Frontiers. The Final Horizon. So if you don't know, Final Horizon is the last update to Sonic Frontiers. It's update 3. This is supposed to be a final expansion to the game, improving the game's abysmal first ending. And not only this update exceeded at that, it blew that by flying colors. Pun clearly intended. And yeah, it just generally, after playing this again for my playthrough, yeah, I can confidently say that Final Horizon is the best part of Frontiers. And what makes that way for me is first the story. Now, I haven't really talked about the story of the base game, but I think I might as well address it here. The story is one of the best parts of Frontiers, and Final Horizon is no exception to the rule. And with this story and just everything, the story connects very well to the base game, and just it feels really nice to see these characters and the voices again. And yeah, I'm glad this was the conclusion of Frontiers. Maybe I could have wished for a couple more things, maybe new changes, skins, maybe something, final goodbye update, but this is good enough for me. And yeah, and at the time of recording this video, we are actually coming off the 2-year anniversary of the first update of Frontiers. So yeah, I just noticed that till now, since it is March after all. But yeah, overall, Final Horizon story and the story overall is wonderful. But that's not the only thing this update exceeds at. This update adds brand new playable characters. Playable characters that haven't been playable for over a decade. Let's start off with Amy. Amy is probably the best playable character outside of Sonic. She is much more suited for platforming, and her jumping, her skills, everything makes her so fun to play. And I love her moveset too, with the cards. However, her combat is not great, and yeah, there are some bugs to the update in general, but that has nothing to do with the playable character. After the patch, Amy has become so much fun, and she's probably the best she has ever been. Now let's move on to the man who doesn't chuckle, Knuckles. And at launch, I hated Knuckles. I will admit, he controlled like absolute shit. But now, he's great. He is right behind Amy. And generally, Knuckles is so much fun. His gliding feels smooth, the combat, the climbing, the platforming challenges with him. Just everything with Knuckles. Everything was improved. They listened to the fan feedback. Am I dreaming right now? They listened to us. They listened. They heard our complaints about when the update first launched. And they fixed it with the patch. Sega fully improved themselves. And I'm so thankful that they did this. Our last playable character is Tails, and he controls good. He's probably the weakest out of the playable characters, if I'm going to be completely honest. Mainly the reason is because he doesn't have a homing attack, which makes his platforming challenges not very fun. However, the Cyclone ability, where you get to fly over the island, ooh baby, that's where the good stuff is at. His Cyclone and his abilities overall absolutely annihilate everything the other guys had. And just, his flying in general is so smooth. I'm just very pleased of how Tails, and just the playable characters in general. And I understand if you don't like the playable characters. They could get used to, and if you're an adventure fan, you could probably take some getting used to. But As someone who doesn't really enjoy the adventure games too much, well, specifically Adventure 2, but I love these characters. They're some of the best, and probably the best they've ever been. But then we move to Sonic, and oh boy, Sonic in this DLC the same as he ever was. But this time, he has a brand new objective he has to do. He has to climb up the towers. Basically, the Ray Island towers, just basically harder. And I'm not kidding you. The platforming in general is one of the best parts about the update. The challenges, the platforming challenges have been improved so much from the base game. And just, I could play Final Horizon like if it was just Final Horizon, it would be in my top 10 favorite Sonic games. And I'm not joking on that. It's just so well done how they put the level of effort into Frontiers with this DLC update. And the spin dash. The spin dash is one of the greatest moves ever. And just, the challenges. And yeah, we also got to talk about the brand new tower climbing too. So that's also important. So, the challenges of the towers. Yeah, these are also great. A big step up over, what was it? Rhea. A big step up over Rhea. These platform challenges rely the spin dash, your fluid movements, your controls, everything. You need to put your damn effort into these. So, yeah, that's why I'm happy to say that, yeah, Final Horizon nails these challenges perfectly. But at the top of these challenges, we get mini trials, where you test your skill by beating some enemies or just doing some random stuff. And yeah, we gotta talk about that. So, like I said, at the end of each tower, there's gonna be a challenge for you. And to be honest, these challenges are really easy. Like, really, really easy. And especially trial 1 through 4, not even a sweat. I know people struggle on trial 2, and yeah, no problem with that trial, to be completely honest. I found trial 1 and trial 3 more difficult than 2. So, you know what? Take that as a grain of salt. So, overall, I think the challenges are pretty nice. But, oh boy, that's not even what people consider to be the worst one. There's one trial that I will actively defend for the rest of my life. Trial number 5. Oh my god. Now, this is the one that everyone consistently agreed that this is the worst one. And to be honest, I could see why. In this trial, you had to go up against all the 3 Titans back to back. But this time, you're set to level 1 stats and you're locked to 400 rings. Not bad, right? But to make things even worse, you have a parry that you have to get perfectly. If you don't get this perfectly, you're gone, dead. And this was a struggle for a lot of people. And I kind of struggled on it too. But like many other things, it also got patched. It got patched too, where it's like a normal parry. And it feels awesome. Like, I freaking love the Master King Coco trial. And it's probably my favorite way to revisit the Titans now. Back-to-back action against these guys, and just, damn, these guys are just actually more epic. You're playing with level 1 stats, able to have the joy of your life experiencing these Titans. And yeah, man, like, once you get the hang of them, it's really not that bad anymore. So, yeah, I actively enjoyed the Master King Coco trial for what it's worth. But that is not even close to the best addition in this update. And it's been one I've been hyping up. And oh my god, it deserves it. We need to get some build up. Everyone has been hoping for one thing in this update. One singular thing. Fixing the final boss. That was all they were asking for. In the original game, it was a bullet minigame, and a disappointingly a clone of Giganto. However, they needed this update to fix their main issue. And did this update succeed at it? Did it succeed at that? My brother, it didn't just succeed it soared. Yeah, so after being this ripoff again, things start to change. And when I mean change for the better. The end comes down and takes control of Supreme and channels about his monologue. And I just want to say the end has a really cool voice. Despite being kind of a lackluster villain, his motives and his voice and oh my god, I still remember the first time I played this boss and just, yes, I did get spoiled watching Sonic Hub's live stream, but still, the raw moments of this boss cannot be overstated. I pleasantly enjoyed every single part. And does it get better? It does. At this point in the fight, you realize Super Sonic is not strong enough to beat him. And then, wait, oh my god. It's everything they've been hyping up. The trailers. He's going further beyond. Everyone, ladies and gentlemen, it's Super Sonic 2. Oh wait, never mind. It's called Starfall Supersonic. Now, my bad, everyone. Okay, so anyway, Sonic enters his power-up Supersonic's hidden power state, where he goes into his Starfall Supersonic. Yes, that is what it's called. And this is the final boss, ladies and gents. You can either, which is one little detail I really do love, you can either stomp the hell out of this dude, and you will get him down to half health, and you could still take out the gun. It's just so good, man. Or just go through the boss normally. But then, this. That's right, Kellen Quinn, the main star of the soundtrack, played a revisited version of I'm Here, and it sounds incredible. I just, how did they cook so hard? And not to mention, we got the amazing QTEs, the amazing graphics, the amazing gameplay. Everything about this boss is insanely great. And it's so cool. When you get hit by the little spirit things, you channel this so cool cutscene where Starfall Supersonic tries to hold it back, then gets transformed to base Supersonic, then transformed to his base form, and then he repeats the whole transformation again, and it's badass. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this final boss. And I go over time to time whether this fight or Perfect Dark Guy is better. But man, this might edge it out, honestly. As much as I love Dark Guy from Unleash, nothing can ever top this fight. And nothing can ever top the bosses in general in this game. They're probably the best edition of all time. And this final boss proves it. But man, if this gameplay is good, you better believe the ending is about to pack a serious punch. So Eggman decides to charge up Supersonic in the gun, and then the most insane moment of all time hits. Sonic transforming into Cyber Supersonic, or Supersonic Cyber as what they call him, but this is what they've been hearing. This is what they wanted in the base game, and then they got it. We got what we wanted. And I could never ask for a more perfect conclusion than this. Eggman using Supreme's gun, a Sonic X moment to channel right through Supreme, and not even that, through the end as well. God, Damn. The graphics in this cutscene look beautiful. And that, ladies and gents, was the end to the Final Horizon. And the end to Sonic Frontiers as a whole. Man, it seems like this game is positive, right? Well, not exactly. So yeah, that basically concludes this video. And I just want to say, I don't know how to feel about Frontiers even after my thoughts about the game. When I first started to make this video, I thought, hey, let me just make this quick review for 100 subscribers, and then boom, I'm done, back to videos. But I realized, has to be special. I mean, this game was the point where I became the fan I am today. I mean, it was due to Unleashing Generations I became a fan, but Frontiers was the game I played the most. Like, I generally had over 100 hours now on the game. And before I quit it and started playing new stuff, I had over 90 hours on this game. I just have fun memories of it. And that's not more clear than this final cutscene making me kind of sad. How do I feel about Frontiers now? I don't know. And to be honest, I think it's great. After everything I talked about with my issues, the platform in the base game, the collectible, was the original Supreme in the end, the final bosses, and just the insane glitches. At its core, Frontiers means something to the Sonic brand. It is the game that got Sonic's franchise smoothing again. As much as people don't want to admit that Frontiers is good, you cannot lie that this game set the franchise in a new direction. For the better, too. And I'm so glad it did. As much as of all the shit talking I talked about in this video, I will always appreciate Frontiers for what it did. And that's something I'll always be proud at. Thank you all for 100 subscribers. And I'll see you guys next time. Journey to a New Horizon.